Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. I don't know how to do these formal things, but I'm going to do my best. G20 Young Entrepreneurs Alliance, President, Madam, our Young Entrepreneurs of South Africa and fellow guests. So good to stand in front of you right now and happy to be in this room and seeing all your beautiful faces, ladies and refugees. As Penny has said, I'm Tshepiso Chikapa-Phiri or Chikapa-Phiri, I put it to you know. I am the founder and owner of Known Associates Group, which owns Known Associates Entertainment, Moonlighting Films, Known Associates Distribution and Sales, Zero Gravity, our unscripted factual production company, and Known Associates Film and TV Investments. Did you see that also? We also have a project, Cradle Studios, which is our ambitious conquest to build 14 sound stages at the cradle of humankind. I started this morning with a conversation with my husband, and he was sharing his interesting insights, as he always does in the morning, about a Japanese philosophy called wabi-sabi, which is a traditional philosophy concept centered on appreciating the beauty in imperfection, impermanence, and incompleteness. And he started asking me a few questions where he said, well, if you had to choose between health and wealth, what would you go with? And I went with the obvious, health, because with good health, I can create wealth. And then he asked me another question. He said, well, between reason and passion. And I knew the correct answer, but I chose to go with that philosophy that represents my own personal life philosophy, and I chose passion. And it had nothing to do with my handsome husband. My life is all passion. My life affirming and changing choices and decisions are always made passionately. I grew up in the notorious township of Katlehong. I love having come from Katlehong. And as my father told me, I always tell my children that in Katlehong, everyone is successful. And Katlehong means a place of success. And when I say everyone, I mean the alcoholic, the thug, the professional, the artist. We do everything with great success. And my mom, who chose a very noble career in nursing, had these really big dreams for me when I was growing up. Just finished my studies at UCT, hand in glove with my economics and political science certificate. My mom wanted me to be a bank teller at Absa Bank in Germany. So you have to imagine how she felt when I then informed her that I was staying in Cape Town to work in entertainment. I got a very long letter admonishing me, telling me how I was going to destroy my career, despite the fact that I was about to go work for one of the world-famous jazz festivals, the North Sea Jazz. That was in 2001. And I suppose in 2001, if you're telling your mom that you're going to work in entertainment, it was very scary. But recently, a very famous chartered accountant friend of mine, who runs a huge fund, came to me and said, oh, my daughter has just been accepted at New York University's Tisch, which is a great film school. She's also been accepted at USC. And my friend, she was also accepted at Martin Scorsese's Institute of Global Cinematic Arts. And I think any parent in my industry would have felt such relief. They would have been like, oh my God, she's gonna make it. But my chartered accountant friend said to me, Yochomi, my child is going to be a poor, starving artist. And I thought to myself, I said, but I run a film fund of over 400 million, friend. Do I look like I'm starving? And she said, but my friend, when you're different, your work is great, you're lucky. And this was now in 2024. So I thought about being a young entrepreneur, and I am holding on to my youth, despite whatever my age may be. That what I wanted to impart in this room, and the thing I want to impart in this room is that I don't think there's anything like luck, especially in entrepreneurship, whether it is in the creative, cultural industries, or in any other industry, as we've heard from our agriculture friends. I think what my mom and my CA friend were not aware of is that from the age of 8, I have been standing in front of my mother's mirrors, preparing my speeches for the Oscars, the Emmys, the Grammys. My speeches of victory, to be honest, were never for the SAFTAs or the summers. I had left the room a long time ago. And I remember when we were young, we were constantly being told, why are you rushing? You're young, time is on your side, blah, blah, blah. I was running away. I was certainly not going to be fooled by these expressions, things like, the world is your oyster. What did I know about oysters? I've never tasted the stuff. I just also think where we sit today, AI is here, and the question to ask ourselves as young entrepreneurs is time on our side? This thing is learning and innovating faster than us. So, in going back to luck, I think having started my career on the floor, sadly, as a chaperone to Coolio on the film Dracula, during lunch I remember the guy putting me in a room and he was rapping and he kept on saying, so, does this rhyme? And I thought, bloody hell, I'm educated, this guy doesn't even know what rhyming is. And 6 years in, speaking to Desiree Machraf, the producer of the famous Shaka Ilembe, and working as a trainee producer and learning from the ground, I then thought to myself, well, where is this going? And recently I wrote to my 15-year-old son, a typical mother's WhatsApp. I said, look, I'm really worried about, how you're spending your time, screen time, how you're eating in your room all the time, all the typical mommy things. And Ro wrote me back. And I said to him at the end of my WhatsApp, I said, I really appreciate feedback from you, based on what I've said. And he said, Mom, thank you for discussing your expectations for our relationship regarding my school and academic studies. I agree to comply with all your terms and conditions that you have set forth during our discussion. However, it is important for me to express my concerns regarding the impact these terms might have on my academic progress and personal growth. While I recognize your intention to help excel in my studies, I fear that these terms may create an unnecessary pressure and hinder my potential. I value our relationship deeply. I hope that as we navigate this new challenge together, we can find a balance between your wishes and my own goals with your continued guidance and support. I know that I can succeed in my academic pursuits whilst also maintaining a positive and supportive relationship with you. Thank you again for your support and willingness to work through this with me. I subsequently responded, I said, Ro, my love, please talk to me as your mom, not as a machine or using ChatGPT to respond to me. I said, I believe you're doing extremely well, but you need to have a balance between school, family, social life, love mom. And the real response I got from Leroy was, much love mom, I'm sure it will be sorted out. So what I've got to say, in light of what I've learned from my son, there are no shortcuts in this industry, in my industry, and in anybody else's industry. And I think we've heard that from previous speakers. In my industry, we are writing scripts, business plans, we're breaking down barriers of entry. And if you go the short way, you will be caught out. I think you said that quite aptly. Film and television content is not made in lecture halls, so there's only so much time we can spend studying. We are on sets, locations, and in studios. We're writing in writing rooms. We're receiving reverts, rejections. We feel frustrated, but we journey on. We raise millions, selling unseen ideas, which one day we hope will be the Shaka Ilembes, the woman king of the day. That's content creation. We are in collaborative spaces. It's not a one-woman gig. So seek out original thinkers. Entrepreneurship is not for everyone. It takes the time, and hence I call us original thinkers. Globally, I think women, we've been and are continuously and passionately fighting to move out of being at the bottom of the food chain. But boy, we're not taking it lying down. Recently, last month, at the Lucana Film Festival, at my last talk, I was asked a question: what should Europe expect from African filmmakers? And I thought, well, you know, the reality is that anyone who's sitting in this room are aware that often Africans, we go out to Europe and we ask them for their money to come back and try to tell our stories. But now, here's what I said to this question. I explained a very simple South African colloquial symbiotic relationship between cheese boys and ice boys. And I was hoping I wouldn't have to explain this in this room, but I think I might have to a little bit. But basically, the cheese boys are the guys that control the economy, and the ice boys are the guys that are benefiting from these guys that control the economy. And I said to the Europeans in the room, I said, often we've been sitting as the cheese boys. And I thought about a friend of mine, Ian Gabriel, who's a fantastic filmmaker, who said to me, Tess, don't go running to Hollywood. You know, when I went, I thought the grass was greener. But when I got there, I realized it was just a small patch of astroturf. Let's learn from the experiences and the wisdom filled on this continent. I think that Africa, as we stand, is now. But South Africa, and to the girls from my country, we are pioneers, and the world should look out because we are the cheese girls of our industry and as entrepreneurs. Thank you.